There may be no extra decks in the X0 Festival, but trust me when I say, that doesn't mean there's nothing extra about it. Let's get this party started. Hello folks, I'm the Ghost with Knife, and as you saw in our intro today, we're on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and we are playing the new X0 Festival. This event has special rules that eliminate your ability to use an extra deck. Now, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists may say that this is impossible, if not nearly impossible at best. But hey, I'm a Yugi boomer, and I remember the days of old when that was pretty much the norm. I'm very excited because I hope this event will inspire creativity in a lot of duelists, or maybe even allow some overshadowed strategies to shine. To help, they actually offer some pretty nifty decks in the loners. I was gonna try the Therian deck at first, but this deck caught my eye because of its theming. So allow me to formally introduce you to the loner featuring the brand new cards from the current selection pack, the Shining Sarcophagus cards. This deck is really unique and cool because it features a bunch of retrains of cards that Yugi used in the anime. Cards like the Gadgets, Marshmallow, Summon Skull, and even Dark Magician. The Sark itself, I believe, is a reference to Yama Yugi, but if you can't figure out why, I suggest reading or watching the old series. Have a little bit of fun with it. It's a surprisingly fun deck that once you get the Sark set up, it allows you to hard control your opponents with several negates, then retaliate with a Sark Surge of something potentially really powerful, and potentially even OTK. So, can Yugi's friends navigate us to a victory, or are these old-timers going to a retirement home? Let's find out with some games. Alright folks, here we are getting into our first game, actually trying out the brand new deck. And to give you an idea of what you want to do with this deck, you want to use Gadget Trio, or I think it's called Silent Justice. It's the Silent Magician spell card, to grab the Silent Sarcophagus from the deck, or at least grab Gadget Trio so you can play the Sarcophagus, and from there you want to use your spells and your Sarcophagus to search out a bunch of different cards and try to end on Silent Magician 0 and Silent Swordsman 0, because these both give you different negates and is a pretty nice setup to start off with. So with my first actual game with the deck, I go ahead and summon the Gadget Trio. My opponent tries to Ghost Ogre it. I guess they were thinking of Ash Blossom, but yeah. Gadget Trio does not get negated when you Ghost Ogre it, it just gets destroyed, which, fine, whatever. We're gonna go ahead and use the Shining Sarcophagus' effect. This allows us to use Gadget Trio's second effect, which gives us the Stronghold, the Hidden Fortress, which is a pretty cool card if you ask me. A lot of the actual meta versions of this deck don't use it, but I plan on including it if I use it, just because it's a pretty nice card. It allows you to destroy monsters when you get attacked and gives you a pretty nice defensive wall. So we're going to go ahead and set that. We're going to go ahead and activate the Shining Sarcophagus. From there, we're going to go ahead and add the Dark Magician. The reason we're doing this is because we can actually special summon the Dark Magician. You know, Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Magic. That's not a mouthful or anything like that. If you grab this monster, it allows you to special summon it, and then from there we can use the Ties That Bind, because we need a Shining Sarcophagus monster and the Sark itself on board to activate it, which is going to allow us to special summon two monsters, which is going to be the Silent Swordsman and Magician 0. So we're going to go ahead and activate the Dark Magician. We're going to go ahead and activate Ties That Bind, give ourselves a Silent Swordsman 0, and in this situation, because I kind of want to protect my Swordsman, I go ahead and activate Marshmallow. You typically want the Magician to have a spell negate, just so you can stop your opponent as much as possible, but this is also a fine play, because more Marshmallow can't be destroyed by battle because we have the actual Sark out, unless they destroy it, and then we're just kind of doomed, aren't we? On the standby phase, the Silent Swordsman 0 is going to get a counter, which increases its, actually it's not going to get a counter, it's just going to increase its level. The fun thing about the Silent Swordsman 0 and the Silent Magician 0 is that they both can increase their levels due to certain conditions. Swordsman gets a level increase every single standby phase, your opponent and yours, and every single time it gets an increase in level, it gets 500 extra attack. And the Magician gets the same level bonus, but only when your opponent draws cards. We're going to go ahead and activate the pre-prep to grab a Prediction Princess. I've never actually seen this deck, so I wonder what they could do. They're going to T-set a card fast. I'm going to go ahead and activate Stronghold here. I'm not going to lie, I kind of wasn't paying attention. I thought this person was playing the Gishki Loner, and I didn't see Prediction Princess stuff, so we're going to put everything in attack here. We're going to leave more Marshmallow in defense. We're going to use the Shining Sarcophagus to go ahead and grab ourselves a turn of silence. We're going to normal summon the Silent Magicians here. We're going to flip summon the Stronghold because it's a 6,000 attack monster, and I'm like, okay, from here, I can just OTK my opponent. Who cares? We're going to attack with the Dark Magician into their face-down monster. It turns out it is a Prediction Princess Petal Elf, which turns all of our monsters into defense. So they just stopped our attack here. So we're going to go ahead and set the turn silence and end our turn. If you use this during your opponent's turn when they activate a monster, or whenever they activate a monster effect in general, what happens is it will increase the level of one of your monsters, preferably the Silent Swordsman 0 or the Silent Magician 0, and then negate the activation of their effect, meaning you get a nice little attack boost on your Swordsman or your Magician, and you get to negate one of their cards. It's just another layer of interaction we have. So we're going to draw a card, we're going to get a bigger Magician, we're going to get a bigger Swordsman from here. More Martial Arts, just going to defend our life points. They're going to try to Prediction Ritual to Ritual Summon a monster. We're going to go ahead and use our Magician to negate that, because you get one spell negate within every turn. They're going to go ahead and use another Ritual, and I guess from here they just didn't think they could win, and honestly, it's a pretty backbreaking thing we can do. They activate a monster, they use an effect, we use turn silence to negate it, and then we just flip our cards into attack. And even if they do attack, and they have to attack into more Marshmallow, and Stronghold can destroy one of their attacks. So, yeah! That's just the power of Shining Sark. Alright, getting into our next game here. Our opponent is going first this time around, which kinda sucks. You really want to go first with this deck, but it's fine. My opponent is going to Time Tearing Morganite, and then they're going to activate Adia. They are on Monarchs for the event. It's really cool seeing this deck. I'm actually a big fan of Monarchs. I would have played it if the rarity wasn't so disgustingly high. But yeah, they're going to try to use Adia to get a tutor off so they can get more normal summons so they can play their Monarchs. We're just going to go ahead and Ash Blossom that. Get that nonsense out of here, please. No, thank you. What you got? Our opponent from there has absolutely nothing. It's going to be our turn now. And from here, we have some interesting plays we can make. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Shining Sarcophagus. We're going to go ahead and use it to search up the Ties That Bind. We're going to normal summon more Marshmallow, which now can't be destroyed by battle. And they have to target it for attacks, meaning we might take a little bit of chip damage if they try to attack into us, but it's fine. We can still protect the rest of our monsters. Ties That Bind is going to grab us the Swordsman and the Magician. You've seen this before. I'm going to go into battle, walk over the Squire, and then walk into them with a little bit more damage. And we're going to set Turn Silence, which is just going to give us a very, very powerful hand here. We have a spell negate, we have a monster effect negate, and if they have something that targets our Sark or a monster that mentions it, which is anything on our board, we can go ahead and negate it. They're going to try to use the Pantheism. We're just going to go ahead and Ash Blossom. No thank you. Which is pretty rough, because if you Ash Blossom this, they can just activate it from the graveyard by banishing it. But fortunately, we have a Silent Magician 0, so we can just go, nah, you don't get that one either. So we're going to negate their spell entirely, which is Pantheism. They're going to go ahead and activate Eidos. We're going to activate Turn Silence, increase our Silent Swordsman's level, and negate their effects. And just show Monarch how a control deck works. Yeah. It's pretty impressive, I'm not going to lie. This deck is absolutely incredible. We're going to increase the level of our Silent Swordsman. We're going to use Shining Sark to grab another Ties That Bind. The reason I'm doing this is because I have the Silent Swordsman in hand. I typically would not use this card in a Shining Sark deck, but hey, this is the loner, and they want to give you as many old reference cards as they can, and I do have an idea of something that I can do with this. We're going to go ahead and use Ties That Bind to grab the Gadget Trio and another Swordsman. Gadget Trio is going to grab us another Sark in case something happens. We're going to sacrifice the new Swordsman to bring out the Silent Swordsman regular, and then we're just going to walk into our opponent. And I decided I could just defeat them for exact with Magician, but I want to get in there with more Marshmallow. More Marshmallow deserves more love. And yeah, that's the Shining Sark deck absolutely schooling Monarchs. Alright folks, getting into our next game here, we are going first, which is fantastic, with a pretty solid hand here. My current idea is to try to use Shining Sarc, gosh I can't say that, the Shining Sarcophagus to bait out an Ash and then use Dark Magician with Ties That Bind to actually get set up. Now I will give you a minor spoiler, I know going into this that this is the loner, because their deck box was the exact same deck box as mine. So I know going into this that we're playing Shining Sarcophagus, and fun fact about the mirror, More Marshmallow is disgustingly good into this mirror. One of the big cards of Shining Sarc in order to eliminate your opponent's cards is the Gandora retrain that comes in this deck, and More Marshmallow just kind of walks all over Gandora because Shining Sarc is unaffected by its effects on both sides. There's actually a replay where I just was not learning this lesson and I kept trying to Gandora them and Marshmallow was just whittling me to dust. So yeah, we didn't keep that replay because it was disgusting and I'm an idiot. But yeah, we learned our lesson. So More Marshmallow in the mirror is really, really good. So we're going to go ahead and activate these Shining Sarc. My opponent is going to Ash Blossom it. We did indeed bait them. Thank goodness. It's okay though, because the rest of my hand is pretty solid. We're going to go ahead and special summon the Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Chaos, or whatever it's called. I hate this name. Use the Ties That Bind to grab ourselves a Swordsman 0, a More Marshmallow, and set turn silence and pass. The only reason I'm going for More Marshmallow is because if they do Gandora me, then I can just loop them with More Marshmallow, and they can't deal with it. We're going to increase the level of our Swordsman. Our opponent is going to T-set and pass, meaning more than likely our opponent did not get access to the Shining Sarcophagus, which is phenomenal. Anyways, from here, we're going to go ahead and go into our turn, which we don't have a lot we can do. It's fine. We're going to go ahead and use the Shining Sarc to go ahead and tutor ourselves up a Silent Magician 0. Not gonna lie, I forgot I was tutoring when I was looking at this. I was mildly distracted. I meant to grab Ties That Bind, which would have been better because I could have gotten a Swordsman 0 and a Magician, which would have given me a lot more aggro. It's a mistake. It happens. This is why you pay attention to your Yu-Gi-Oh games. We're just going to go ahead and normal summon the Silent Magician 0, put 3 of our monsters into attack, and our opponent activates the new Mirror Force. Dark Magic Mirror Force. Yeah, this is also really good in the mirror, because you can use your opponent's Shining Sarc monsters against them. So yeah, I got pwned. What else should I say? I got pwned. This is why the loners in this event, or the loner mirror, is really fun, because there's a lot of things you can actually do with your opponent's cards. And we naturally draw into Gandora G, the Dragon of Destruction. We're going to go ahead and special summon it, because from here, my opponent can't really do anything. We're going to use Gandora's effect. They are going to call by the grave? My Dark Magician. There is no reason to do this. I'm assuming they're doing this because they're going to lose it. The problem is, Gandora G gets bigger the more banished cards there are on both sides. So they're just making Gandora bigger for no reason. Anyways, we're going to banish all the cards except our Shining Sarcophagus, including our opponent's face-down monster, and our More Marshmallow, which is going to activate it, by the way. We're going to use Gandora G's effect to special summon a Gadget Trio, which is going to allow us to grab another Shining Sarcophagus in case something happens. We're going to use More Marshmallow's effect. They have a face-down Silver Gadget, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to Ash that. I don't know what you're doing with that nonsense, but it gets to stop now. And from here, we're just going to special summon a lot of monsters. From here, we can use the Shining Sarcophagus to grab whatever monster I feel like and just try to OTK my opponent from here. And my opponent scoops it on up. Right, getting into our next match here, I'm on a hot streak. I'm enjoying this deck, and our opponent is going first. A hand with 0 interaction kind of sucks, but whatever. It can't be that bad. You. Of course it's you. Heroes. The bane of my existence. One of my least favorite and probably most hated archetypes. These stupid heroes and their stupid Absolute Zero, back when Edison was a thing, made my life hell. What in the world are you doing in an event with no extra deck? What could you possibly be up to? Honest Neos, screw you too, buddy. Rhoda, for another Stratos, because why not? Why not have a million Stratoses? Normal summon Vion, because, you know, you hate people. Mill Shadow Mist, to search a Ferris, to special summon a Ferris. So what's the game plan here? Why do we need all these monsters? You just trying to establish a board, trying to be obnoxious with your favorite archetype? I'm gonna go ahead and put a increase in... Are you kidding me? Let me get this straight. Hold on. No, stop. Shut up. Look me in the eyes right now. Joe, whatever that is. Joe, whatever that is. You heard there was an all-exclusive event in which you could play cards and decks that don't have extra decks. And you could play anything cool or interesting. And your thought was, I'm gonna be a filthy, disgusting hero player that just hero spams so I can play Plasma. How did this card not get banned for this event? In what dimension or universe should this card not have been banned from this event? How? How? Okay. Whatever. I have a game plan. In my hand, I can use Shining Sarcophagus. I can use this to search Turn Silence. I can use Silent Swordsman 0 and Turn Silence this thing, gain a bunch of levels, and just walk over Plasma. Then I don't gotta deal with it, right? So let's go ahead and just try that, shall we? So we're gonna go ahead and go into grab the Archfiend's Advent, which is a pretty decent card. I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait a minute. Pause. Timeout. Honest Neos is just a random quick effect. You can do it whenever you want. You can do it whenever you want. So it's better than Honest. I forgot they had this card in their hand. I'm not gonna lie. So Turn Silence still wouldn't out this. You've got to be kidding me. I grab Turn Silence, and because I can't walk over Plasma, I go ahead and just T-set a card and pass. And of course, they just Stratos, getting rid of my Shining Sarcophagus and shutting down my entire strategy. I can't search another one with my gadget because of this stupid Destiny Hero Plasma, which should be banned, but it's not. And because I can't do anything, my opponent's just gonna OTK me anyways because they have disgusting, degenerate cards. No. I left. Like anybody would in this situation. I hate heroes. I hate the person who made this deck with a passion. I don't know you, JoJo, but I want you to know there is a blood feud between us. And if I ever see you on ladder, I hope I have the most disgusting and degenerate deck out there to make you miserable. You horrible, disgusting person. Screw you and your Plasma. Let's go ahead and get on to a different game and just have a little bit more of a high note, because this made my blood boil. Okay, so after that, you know, absolutely disgusting and unfun game, we're going first. We have Future Silence to grab us some pretty nice cards from our deck. We can grab the Gadget trio from our deck so we can try to grab our Sark. All we gotta do is hope we just don't get Ash Blossomed. Who knows what my opponent is on? We're gonna go ahead and use the Future Silence here to grab our Gadget trio. Just don't Ash this. Just don't Ash this. They don't Ash it. We get our Sark. Perfect. We can set up perfectly from here. This is already a much better game. We're gonna go ahead and set up our negates and, you know, not get floodgated out of this game. I'm sorry, I hate heroes. Just gotta put that one away. So we're gonna go ahead and set the Called By and the Turn Silence and pass our turn, and we have a pretty solid board here. We have a Spell Negate, we have a Monster Negate, we have a targeted card negate with our Swordsman, and we have a Graveyard Negate and an Ash Blossom. This is a pretty solid hand. Who knows what my opponent is on? We're going to go ahead and get the level ups for our Magician and our Swordsman. Our opponent is going to Manju of the 10,000 Hands. They're on Rituals. Let's see what they can do if I Ash Blossom this. Will this turn off their Rituals? I mean, I could turn silence this too. I have about 3 or 4 negates. Oh. Well, now I'm curious. What was this? You know, there's a lot of things in life that just aren't certain. But there's always a few things that are certain in my life. There will be death, there will be taxes, and for some insane reason, there will always be heroes, and there will always be blue eyes. Not gonna lie, Incantation Chaos Max is pretty base though, so I'm about it. Alright, getting into our last game here. We've had a lot of fun in this event with this loner, and let's just go ahead and do some funny nonsense. We're gonna go ahead and normal summon the Gadget Trio, try to grab our Silent Sark, and we are going to get Ash Blossomed. Ah yes, the Foot Zombie. You never escape. I can't escape it, can I? We're gonna go ahead and set the Stronghold here. The idea is that on the end step of the turn, I can go ahead and activate this, give myself a monster, and just give myself a 2500 beater, because at the end of the day, Archfiend's Advent is just a golden summon skull with a funny little change of heart effect. But yeah, bare minimum, it's summon skull, which beaters are always nice. And oh, Harpy's Feather Duster, that hurts, into Cliffort Scout. We're playing Klee. Okay. Didn't see that one coming. What you got? We're going to try to search with this. We're going to Ash here just to turn off that nonsense. I do not want you establishing any sort of pendulum on your board. So what you got for me? We're going to normal summon Cliffort Disc. We're going to walk into our Gadget Trio, which allows us to set our other Stronghold from deck. So we still have something we can do with Archfiend Advent. On my turn, I can activate the Stronghold, give myself another monster. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, just to go ahead and give myself a blocker. Now, I do make a misplay here. I forgot that this thing gets 1000 attack for the Silent Magician 0. And apparently, it also gives itself 1000 attack, because it is a Shining Sarcophagus monster that mentions Shining Sarcophagus when it's activated like this. So I had a chance to get rid of the disc, and I didn't think about it. I wasn't paying attention to its stats throughout the other portions of my games, or, you know, when I activated it last turn, and I could have seen that it had 1000 attack. So I could have had an opportunity to destroy the disc and get a little bit more damage in, but I made a mistake. It's fine though. We're gonna go ahead and pass off to our opponent. Now the idea behind this play is that Magician should be able to negate a spell. This is a card in the Pendulum Zone, and in the Pendulum Zone, it should be a spell, right? So they're gonna go draw a card. We're gonna activate the Magician's Effect to get ourselves that. We're going to activate Klee, and I can't negate it. So even though this thing has spell colors and is in the Pendulum Zone, which means it should be a spell, I can't negate it with my Silent Magician 0. Yeah. Pendulum decks, they make 0 sense. They're going to go ahead and add a card. They're going to get their Klee Monolith, I think it's called? Yeah, Cliffort Monolith, to go ahead and Pendulum Summon another monster from hand, which is the Cliffort Hex. They still can't walk over the Stronghold, thankfully, but they do have some unaffected monsters. Well, at least by things that have levels or ranks that is lower than its current level, which would be 4 in this situation. We can still use the Archfiend's Advent, which we're going to be doing in a second. We're going to go ahead and activate the Shining Sarcophagus. Use Shining Sarcophagus to use Ties that Bind, because Stronghold is a monster that mentions Shining Sarcophagus. We're going to go ahead and special summon the Silent Swordsman 0 and the Silent Magician. We're going to normal summon the Archfiend's Advent here, because we can do that without tributing, thanks to the fact that we have a Shining Sarcophagus. And we're going to attempt to steal their disc. They're going to try to affect Belarus. And hey, did you target one of my monsters? Silent Swordsman 0. Negate that, steal their monster, and our opponent is going to get wrecked here, and they're just going to scoop it up. Because from this position, I shift Stronghold to attack. I attack into them with their monster, and then I just beat them down with a gigantic Stronghold and the Archfiend's Advent. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And with that, folks, our time with the Shining Sarcophagus loner deck in the X0 Festival has come to a close, and I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun with this deck. I really like this deck. This deck is super cool. I would make some obvious adjustments to the deck, but I want to come back to this deck. This deck is absolutely awesome, and I am more than excited to be pulling in the selection package for this, and I am 100% going to do that. This deck is too cool to pass up. It's perfect for a Yugi boomer like myself. We get a bunch of references to cards we loved in the past, and it's actually pretty solid. Who knows, maybe it could actually do something on ladder. So thank you for tuning in. The Shining Sarcophagus deck will return. Now do me a favor, folks, and get the hell out of here.